friends, Romans, countrymen, inmates and true believers, lend me your ears. This is Darsch Pug today with a review of Legend of the Skyfish, developed by Mgaia Studio and published by Crescent Moon Games. This one is an interesting one, folks. Legend of the Skyfish labels itself as a level-based adventure puzzler, but I prefer calling it a Zelda-like light, if you would. The game shares many similarities with some Zelda games, most notably the fishing pole that functions as a weapon and grappling hook, although the hookshot and master sword in the Zelda franchise, and switch puzzles to open gates and doors. The grappling hook function can be used to solve puzzles, jump over gaps, and pull and stun enemies so you can then whack them with your fishing pole. There are various fishing poles, hooks, and hoods to get throughout the game, hidden in chests. The chests themselves are hidden, but when you get close to one, your bee friend starts making noise and flashing a treasure chest and a chat bubble on the screen, so you know to look around for them. They are not too well hidden as they tend to be along the path you have to take since the game is linear. Speaking of linear, it's a pretty clean-cut single path you follow, with plenty of backtracking in some levels to hit all the switches to solve the puzzles. More on them later. The game really lacks in the exploration department, and that is something I feel it needed. The levels are beautifully handcrafted and hand-painted, but short and too linear to the point the game can become boring. The game claims to be a puzzler, but the only puzzles is hitting switches to open gates. They require very little thought, and it's more like running an obstacle course to get to said switches, to press them or push a giant statue on them. This was a pretty big letdown, as I had expected a bit more in the puzzle department, considering the game has 45 levels and touts having various puzzles to solve. But they are not really puzzles. The difficulty, though, is perfect for very young fledgling gamers trying out their first adventure game. The game's mechanics are spot on and pretty self-explanatory. It's fun zipping across gaps and smashing enemies with your fishing pole. They are simple, sweet, and intuitive, perfectly balanced as all things should be. Thanos joke aside, I had a blast playing the game the first few levels before it turned into tedium for me. The mechanics are great, the gameplay loop is spot on, but it quickly gets boring as you follow a single path doing the same thing over and over ad nauseum with no reward except the thrill of victory that feels hollow as you really did not accomplish anything as there was no challenge whatsoever. The game art is all hand-painted and reminds me of watercolor and oil paint paintings with a touch of Picasso influences in the way the curves of certain details and the faces are painted. The animation is fluid, and at times I was reminded of classic Disney animated features. Legend of the Skyfish is a great game for beginner gamers, but lacks any oomph to keep the more experienced satisfied. I feel it's worth the small $7 USD price tag it currently has on Steam, and I rate it a 4 out of 10. It's not a bad game, but it's not a great game either, and it's best for younger audiences until they grow into their big gamer controllers. This is Darsch Pugs, signing off.